Final game of the RoughRiders series in Corpus Christi, and we're joined by the newest RoughRider, Greg Miclat, who has filled in at shortstop, third base, and now second base in tonight's game. When you came from Round Rock, I bet you didn't know what you were signing up for with a couple of long extra inning games, the first three here.
Definitely not. That, 2 extra inning games, you're lucky to play in one in a couple of weeks, and 2 and 3 games. I mean, it's tough, but luckily we were able to pull out a win in last night's game.
What was the longest game that you've ever played, and was it that 16-inning game that went 5-16?
I think 18 innings is the longest, and when I was in Bowie in AA in the Eastern League.
Last night's game really was a strange one as well. You guys tie it up in the 6th inning and then have 17 consecutive batters retired. All of a sudden, you start to develop a little bit of momentum there right after the Selene home run. Was it something as simple as a new pitcher coming in and Selene sort of taking the top off the offense for the rest of you guys behind him?
Yeah, I mean, with the last 2 extra inning games, you see how when there's added pressure to get one run, both offenses, it's hard to squeak one out, and then I think Selene just took the pressure off all of us by going up 1, and then we strung a couple hits together and we were able to tack on 2 more. But definitely, Selene coming off the bench and really his only lone at bat, that was huge for us.
Do the bats get heavier as you go deeper into those games? Has it become a little bit tougher to keep up with the fatigue factor?
I don't know if it feels heavier at the time. Your body definitely starts to stiffen up, and but when you step in the box, you don't really think about those things or feel those things. It's more like in between innings and stuff, you feel your body tighten up. But for a bat to stiffen up now, I don't think it really does. It affects you.
Last couple of games at third base for you, your first 2 professional games at the position. Is that an easy transition for you, a guy who's been a shortstop, second baseman all your life?
It was fun. It was pretty easy transition. You're on the same side of the field. I think it's easier to go from shortstop to third than it is short to second. Just the perspective, that at the position, balls hit and stuff like that. But it was definitely fun. We didn't have BP the last 2 days, so I didn't get to take any ground balls. But it breaks up the monotony of the game. When you play a position you've rarely played before.
Had you ever played third base at any point? When was the last time you did play it in a real game?
I actually jicked one game in spring training and got in at third base and got 1 ground ball. Before that was college. My sophomore year in college. Played a couple games at third, but really haven't spent too much time over there.
You've got a good reputation as a very strong defensive player, which is obviously a key thing to have at either second base or shortstop, 2 positions where defense really is valued. How did you make yourself a good defender?
You know what? Repetition, taking ground balls. Throughout the year, even in the off season. I work on that part of my game, as just like everybody does hitting, but I know a lot of guys don't start taking ground balls or swinging bats till like January 1st. Well, for me, I have to get a constant feel, and so a couple times a week, even in the fall and going into the early months of winter, a couple times a week, I'm always doing something.
Last year must have been a very, very difficult season for you, with the injuries that you had really limited you in terms of the number of games you were able to play. And all that in your first year with a new organization, that must have added some pressure to want to get back out there. How tough was it going through that, also playing at AAA?
It was definitely tough. Last year was my first year in the organization. You want to make a good impression, and not being able to stay on the field, and even when you're on the field, having injuries linger and stuff, and it was definitely tough. But everything's healed up, and most of those injuries were from diving head first, so I've eliminated that. I haven't done that once this year. When stealing and stuff like that, and just trying to stay healthy and stay on the field, good things will happen. So.
You were the player to be named later in the Taylor Teagarden deal. Randy Henry, who's been on this team all season, was the first player named in that deal. Were you surprised when you saw it was your name popping up and that you'd be changing organizations?
You know what? It was actually about a week before I was actually traded. A reporter in the Baltimore area had heard that and had given me a call and completely caught me off guard and said, my name was being thrown around in a trade with Texas, and at that point it was news to me, and then a week later I hear from the player development guy and from John Daniels. So, but it was an exciting time. Obviously, Texas is a great organization, and I've had a great time since being here.
Have you noticed any big differences between the organizations? One thing I've heard Randy talk about is that you spend more time around the big league team in spring training than maybe in the Orioles.
Definitely. I mean, there's a lot of separation with Baltimore, segregating the big league guys from the minor league guys, and Texas is, they don't really care about anything but winning, and definitely, I mean, obviously Baltimore's done a great job in the last year and a half, 2 years, and turning around and becoming a winning club. But that's the instant atmosphere. When I stepped into Surprise last year, last February, was just that it's a winning atmosphere. It's a confident atmosphere. So that's what I noticed.
I was talking to Jason Hart the first day that you were here, asking if he had worked with you, and he said he hadn't spent a ton of time, but the kind of player you were, you knew what kind of player you were. You knew what your strengths were, and you truly tried to feature those when deciding where to hit a ball or how to play the game. So I'll let you put it into your own words. What kind of player do you aspire to be, and how do you make sure that you maybe take advantage of some of those things that you do really well?
I'm like I said, defense first, scrappy play on offense, gonna hustle, gonna turn singles into doubles, doubles into triples, work count, see a lot of pitches, good base running, but I do a lot of things well fundamentally, and contribute in any way I can, really.
And one of the things you didn't say, which is obviously you're not a power hitter. You have 5 career home runs. You didn't hit any, I don't think, in college. Do you remember every single one of those home runs that you hit? Are they seared into your mind?
Absolutely.
What was the first one like?
First one before I started switch hitting, or you're talking about professional? Okay, yeah.
Well, we can go back that far too.
I mean, hey, I can count on 2 hands how many home runs I've hit in my life over the fence. But my first career home run was when I was in high A. It was actually at Potomac, and got an inside fastball, and of course, all of my home runs, I never see them go out because I don't know they're going out. So I hit it. I'm running around the bases. I look up, and the outfield's not doing anything. So have yet to experience one where I actually get to enjoy it and watch it go over. But I don't know that I ever will.
Have you ever hit an inside the park home run?
Yeah, actually, not in pro ball, but several in high school.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Well, you certainly have the speed for it, and maybe take advantage of the dimensions here or tomorrow in Frisco. Greg, thanks so much for the time. Congrats on the win last night in the 3-hit game.
Thanks for having me.
That's Greg Miclat. We're back after this on the Frisco RoughRiders Baseball Network.